A year ago, I probably would have spent this last week worrying about missed workouts, but things are different now. My first Ironman 70.3 is just over a month away, and this family vacation to Stanley has been on the calendar for months, so I had a decision to make. Was I going to let training control this trip, or could I find a way to stay consistent while being present with my family? Now, Sunday was just about getting up to Stanley. It's about a 3-hour drive from where we live, so it was just about getting up there, getting settled in, and honestly, just taking a deep breath. I feel like we have severely overpacked, but we do this every year, and every other year I say I'm going to get better at it, but yet to happen. Now, if you've never been here before, this place almost forces you to slow down. The population is just over 100 people, no crazy schedules, no rushing around, just mountains, rivers, and wildlife. Now, one thing that's important to me, and it's something I wanted to protect on this trip, was my morning routine. I did utilize this time away to sleep in a little more than I usually would, but when I did wake up, I still wanted to do the same things that I would at home. Before we really got started with the day, I made sure to get my Bible time in, of course caffeinate, eat breakfast, take some essential supplements like my electrolytes and multivitamin, and then at that point, get ready for whatever the day had planned. Honestly, nothing fancy, just sticking to some basics that I know will help my performance. Now, one huge thing when it comes to vacation is food. I wanted to enjoy myself, have some good food, but I also wanted to make sure a lot of the food I was having was still going to fuel my performance and get me one step closer to my goal. We packed several Clean Eatz meals before leaving, which made it incredibly easy to stay on track. My wife also made an amazing high-protein breakfast quiche, and one of the nights we had some homemade spaghetti. So was everything perfectly tracked? No, but it honestly didn't need to be. The goal was consistency, not perfection. Now, Monday was the biggest training day. We started with a 9-mile hike through some of the most incredible scenery, walking the length of Redfish Lake, seeing another lake called Bench Lake, and honestly just enjoying the first full day out in the wilderness. Now, after getting back, I still had to get a run workout in. And if I'm being honest with you, my legs were definitely feeling the hike. On Mondays, I usually like to aim for about 10 miles on my run, but given that I did just do a 9-mile hike, I was aiming anywhere from like 7 to 10. And because my legs were already fatigued from the long hike, I figured this would be a good opportunity to put some good miles on some tired legs. Perfect for what I would be expecting for the 70.3. And honestly, once I got past that 3 or 4 mile mark, I did feel pretty good. I just made sure to keep a solid pace, enjoy the scenery, and trust the process. And honestly, these are the type of workouts that build that race confidence, I think. Realizing that I could run 9 miles after a 9-mile hike definitely was a little bit of a confidence boost. And of course, gave me that sense of accomplishment that I was able to stay on track and make a pretty good endurance dent. Now, even though Monday was the biggest training day, I think Tuesday was the more challenging day. And that's because I worked on something that I do need a lot more practice with, the open water swim. Now, one super cool thing about the open water swim is that I was able to break in my brand new wetsuit. Huge shout out to Jake and the NMB team for actually sponsoring this wetsuit for me. This Ironman prep financially has honestly been quite a trip. Between registration, the bike, a whole new membership for the rec center so I could swim, and everything else between nutrition, supplements, and fueling the training, and other miscellaneous gear that you just never even think of. It's been a pretty spendy hobby. But when I did my very first open water swim with Jake, the CEO of NMB, he was mentioning how helpful the wetsuit actually is, and I told him that as much as I really wanted one, financially it just really didn't make sense with how much I already put into this prep, and it was just going to be too tight for us to swing in this prep. So Jake and the whole NMB team, thank you guys so much for getting me into this wetsuit. It was so helpful, and I cannot wait to wear it on race day. Now, I was fortunate enough to have my wife and mother-in-law in a little paddle boat next to me so that if I needed any rest, they'd be there, and there was a nice barrier from all the boat traffic. I honestly didn't really know how this was going to go. All I knew is that the goal was to try and get as close to that 1.2 mile race length that I could. And Tuesday was a big realization of there is definitely a huge difference between open water swim and in the pool. You're not in crystal clear water looking at a black line. You don't have the opportunity every 25 yards to have that split second of rest when you turn. You're just going. My first stop was at 0.15 miles, and that's where I had to grab onto the boat, slow my heart rate down, and kind of realize what I got myself into. I did end up making about 4 to 5 stops in the 1 mile that I did swim, but overall, it was a mile in the open water. I have a little bit better of an idea of what to expect when it comes to race day, and towards the end of the swim, my wife jumped in with me to help me finish the workout strong. Overall, very different from the pool, but I know I did get a little bit better up there, and I have a little bit better of an idea of what to expect when it comes to race day. Now, Wednesday, we had the most beautiful hike and the longest one too. We ended up seeing 2 different lakes. The first lake was Alpine Lake. This is where we found a nice big rock. We ended up looking over the lake, having some lunch together, and resting up for the rest of the hike. For lunch, we had some homemade sandwiches, some homemade Cheez-Its my wife made, some honey, and some nerd clusters, perfect fuel. The only thing missing was an energy drink. After lunch, we headed up the mountain even more, where we actually ran into some snow. I wasn't expecting that. I was wearing my canes, but it ended up working out anyway. And actually a couple miles into the hike going up to the first lake, I got a sock wet, so I was rolling with one sock pretty much all the way up the mountain. But once we got to the second lake, it was probably the most gorgeous lake I've ever seen.
I'm happy.
I don't think I'd mind going home.
Underwhelming.
Underwhelming. No, it is pretty. Isn't it pretty?
So much so, even though the water was super cold, I had to jump in a few times. And while I was up there, I really realized why I'm chasing this goal in the first place. This Ironman 70.3 is not just about race day. It's about being someone who's capable of doing hard things and enjoying the life around them. And just like that, Thursday rolled around and it was time to come home. Before heading home on Thursday morning, we did stop at one last breakfast spot that me and my wife visited 6 years earlier. The food was amazing. I had an energy drink to crack, and it was our last chance to soak in Stanley before coming home. Going into this trip, I honestly didn't know how much training I was going to get done. But looking back at it, I don't think I could have asked for a better week. I stayed active, I stayed consistent, I fueled my body well, I kept up with my morning routine, but most importantly, I got to spend quality time with the people that matter most in my life. And that's something I don't ever want to sacrifice. Completing my first Ironman 70.3 is a huge goal, but it's not my only goal. Building a healthy life is finding the balance between discipline and staying present as best as possible. And this week reminded me that those two things don't have to compete with each other. Now we're back home. The countdown to my first Ironman 70.3 is getting real, but if I can carry what I learned this week into the rest of my training, I think I'll be in a really good place. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.